Hi everyone, Gaye DeRusso with Majestic Riders. So it's been a minute because we've been kind of busy, so I haven't taken many instructional videos for the trail. So I am on Teddy. He's the Tennessee walking horse that was pacey. He's been here a couple of months. He's got all his gaits. We're just practicing keeping him in gait and slowly trying to add more speed and then getting him to do it out on the trail. They're always much slower in the arena because of the footing. And of course, because you're going to circle, they're bored. So some of them don't like to move out in there. They're like, what's the point? We're just going to make a circle. But out here, you can work a lot at making them step out and forward. So Teddy's quite good now. He used to be a little trippy. He's not as trippy, but anytime there's a bump or something, we just give a little half halt to make sure that he is a reminder to pick up his feet. Sometimes you have to do that with some of the lazy horses or pacey horses or just some walking horses. You have to do that with till they get better picking those feet up and getting them out of the way. They all have to learn, okay? Now, again, sometimes they're tripping because they have something medically wrong, but other times it's behavior, or they're not paying attention, or you're not riding them correctly. So there can be many reasons for tripping, so you can watch one of the tripping videos if you have questions on that. So what we're working on now is we have a flat walk and a running walk. We're trying to get those faster over time, but that can take years, so the owner will be working on that. And we got a saddle gait out of him, so we just have to make sure he doesn't get pacey when we're doing the saddle gait. He does it pretty well on trail. And we just got to keep his head a little bit low because that brings him more towards the trot. And we've taught him all the lateral work, like the leg yield, shoulder ins, and things of that nature. And even the cantering, if you have a pacey horse, especially if it's young, teach it to canter, because that makes a huge difference. And it will help break up the pace. Okay, when they're older, it's harder to teach them to canter. I do it all the time. That's why I'm always talking about how hard it is, but I'm always usually talking about the older pacey horses that have never cantered. Okay. So we want to move out a little bit forward, just not crazy. We don't want to go racking down the trail to start unless he was really amped up. But we're trying to get him to relax. So we'd rather come out and just flat walk for a while. That bird just cut us off. If you could even see it, it was pretty darn fast. But we're trying to get him just to walk out and relax and keep his head down. Now, it won't even look like this horse is moving fast, but we rode him this weekend with a bunch of other horses, and I was on my walking horse, and the two of us were a good match, but everybody else was far behind us. There were a couple other walking horses, but there was a Icelandic cross, and there was also a foxtrotter, and their strides, usually not as big. So it looked like we were just walking, but we had to keep stopping and waiting for them, and that's okay. That's what we do, and it's good for the horses to have to stop and wait for their friends and learn to be patient. Okay, so if you have a walking horse, just know they have very large strides, most of them, but not all of them. If you're going to ride with quarter horses, it would be best to find one with a short stride. There's a hawk right there, beautiful hawk. I don't know if you can see it, but if you are on a walking horse that has a big stride and you're going to ride with quarter horses, you're going to have major problems. You're going to have to stop like every 2 steps and wait for your friends, or they're going to constantly be screaming at you that you're going too fast, even though you're just walking. Okay, so it rained last night. It's a little mucky. We'll see how bad it gets. I kind of tested it. I walked up here to see. Now, nobody's out here. There's no farm workers today, and last time I took him out, he was a little spooky, but she had taken him home, and he had been on alfalfa, and with some horses, that alfalfa can make them what I call a little cracky. They get spooky, they get jumpy, they're very energetic, but they're also very reactive. So if you have a horse like that and you've been feeding it alfalfa, try getting it off of the alfalfa for a couple weeks to a month. And that might be all you need to get a calm horse. But that alfalfa can really amp some of them up. And it's not good to be on full alfalfa all the time. People don't understand that, but your horse can form enteral lifts, they can colic. Yes, it's good for ulcers, but it's better to give a mix, not just straight alfalfa. So today he's much better versus last week, and you'll see he's doing a running walk up this hill. He's doing really well, and I'm just trying to get him to learn to push us up the hill, which he's doing. Kind of feels like someone's taking their hand behind your saddle and pushing it, kind of like an escalator, or you feel like the horse is climbing up a ladder, but I can really feel his back feet moving, and that's what you're trying to feel, is them driving off of their back end. Okay, now depending on the footing, we might be able to canter, we might not. If it's messy out here, we'll just gait instead, and that's no big deal. You just come back to the arena or wherever and practice a couple of steps of canter. We do have these stairs coming up. Those are good places to get a canter step here and there, but it's good to give the horse the aids. A lot of people just let them jump up it. Ask them for the canter so their canter departure gets better. You know, half halt, shift your weight out, left leg, good boy. Yeah. And then half halt, let's try the other lead, and right leg. Now he didn't get it, but that's okay, because again, he knows the footing better than I do because his feet are on it. So if he's like, don't do it here, I'm like, okay, thanks. It's probably slippery, but probably best we don't do it there. But so far, he's much better than he was that other day. And that's kind of a test. You're like, they were on alfalfa, let's see how they are. And they're not on alfalfa, let's see how they do now. They're much better, you know what the cause is. But sometimes you got to be a detective figuring out what's wrong with the horse. Other things that can happen is, you know, your horse is not sleeping well, and that's why they're spooky and jumpy, because something's happening at nighttime. Like there's a strange animal coming in at night to the barn searching for food, and you don't know that. And so sometimes that makes the horses really, really jumpy until that thing stops coming at night. So there's lots of things that can cause your horse to change its attitude. Pain is one, of course, but it's not everything. And sometimes people are always going for pain and laying the horses up. Of course they have pain, so do we. Some things are minor, just muscle soreness, and some things are major, so you got to figure out which of those things it is if you're having a problem. So last time I took him out, he was looking all over the place. He's not doing that today. I do have contact on his mouth to help guide him, like, hey, keep your eyes in the classroom here. And I'm going to ask for the canter right here too. Half, I'll shift my weight, right leg. So just one step. Good boy. But you're trying to make sure they're paying attention. They don't know to do that. If you let them loose, they just start looking around, because of course, let's see their sights, unless somebody has trained them to keep their head straight. But walking horses are classic at having their heads go all over the place and, you know, tripping. So you want to keep their heads straight and keep them paying attention. So I like to do my groundwork. I like to do my arena workout here. So I'm just leg yielding back and forth. Now you can even do a little shoulder in, so I bring his shoulders on a different track, and then I release and go forward and down, because we want him to stretch down. He was pacey, so would rather have him relax his back and get a little rounder, so he goes more to the trot instead of the pace. The pace, they're usually inverted, you know, their head's high, their back is more shaped like a U, and their head's way up. So that takes a lot of horses towards the pace. That's why if they're trotty, you kind of sit back, raise their head up until you get them out of the pace, and then over time you try to get them to relax and see if they can gait in a neutral frame. So with him, his head's just a little high. It's just a little bit above where my horn would be, and but he's getting there. But we just got out here, so you just keep reminding them. You know, trainers are good at doing this stuff because we do it all the time. The owners, you might have to put more pressure on because you're not clear, your release is not clear, but you'll get better over time if you keep practicing. Okay, so he's trying to look around, but the footing changes right here, and I got to keep his attention. And you sit back. Some walking horses, because they do slide their feet in their gait, they'll slide some in the mud. Those horses, you can put traction shoes on if you need more help, or if you're riding down granite, definitely get something with traction, put boreum on or studs, because your horse doesn't want to slide either. They don't feel safe sliding down hills if they don't have to. So you can do those things just to help them. But otherwise, this owner's great. She taught him to go down hills real slow. So I just half halt each step and I keep him slow, and then he's quite good. Okay. See footprints of some kind of animal out here. It looks like there was a deer and maybe something following it. So be aware. Be aware what's out here with us. Okay. So we're going to lengthen his stride a little bit. I like to do that by alternating my legs. He almost sped up too fast. When you're working on gait, it's great if you can lead or ride alone so you can control the speed you go at. If you're going with other people and they're going too fast, you're never going to get your gait, you know, unless you're going for a racking gait, because they're going to be tense and then they're probably going to go towards the pace a little bit. Okay. But since it just rained, use the dirt. You know, if it's mud, make them walk through it. That helps pacey horses a lot. But maintain the same speed. Don't let him keep changing speed. Like he's trying to get faster here. I'm not letting him. And then when I get a little further up, I'm going to ask him for the canter. So I'm going to slow him down. So I like to do it on the hill. I'm going to do it right here. I'm going to slow down. Now half halt, shift my weight, and the right leg canter. Now he didn't get it. He was getting the wrong lead, and then he just didn't get it. But again, it's slippery, so I'm like, that's okay. We'll try it somewhere else and see if we can get it. So he just kind of racked up that instead, and he tries to get his head up when he's racking. We don't want his head that high. Again, we might use inversion to get the horse into gait, but we try not to keep it, and lots of people don't get that. I was like, it's a big deal. You raise his head up for a minute, and then once you get it, you try to bring it back down. Gaited horses are different. They are not regular horses, so you change their gait. All right, so here we're going to push again. Now we're going downhill. Downhill can make your horse a little pacey, so we're staying a little slow here. Now, when there's mud on the trail, lots of us like to make the horse go through it, but I only do that if it's safe. Because in some places, especially trails you don't know, it can be like quicksand and your horse can sink, or the footing gives out and they drop down a couple of feet. So if I see mud and I'm not sure of the place and I can go around it, I will go around it. Because again, the horses usually know better that it's quicksand, and a lot of people make them go in it and the horse just goes, okay. Usually not the mares though. They're like, up yours, I'm not going in that quicksand. Okay, now we're going downhill, so we slowed down a little bit. Okay, now you saw he just tried to look off to the left, and I immediately corrected him to the right. You got to give the right amount of pull. If you pull too hard, of course, his head will go the other way. So you're trying to use the lightest amount to get them to do what you're asking. So over time, you might have to start out a little harsh or a little tough, and then don't forget, over time, you're supposed to lighten it up. You're not supposed to be doing it that hard all the time. Okay, so horses usually will willingly do what you ask if they're trained, you know, with some kindness, and you know they're given rewards and you appreciate what they do for you and treat them well, they'll do a lot for you. Okay, but if you're always kicking them and stuff, then they're just a ball of reaction. If you're kicking and yanking, that's not how you're supposed to ride them. Okay, so what he's been doing with the canter, he doesn't start off great in it. It's usually a couple of steps and then he gets it. So we're going to try it here. So half halt, shift my weight, right leg canter. Now I tap with my stick because he didn't get it. Now he's got it. So that stick can help you because, again, he was used to racking up hills, not cantering up hills. So now his life has changed. So you saw he did rack some, but that hill helped me get that canter. If I was on the flat racking and tried to get the canter, we probably wouldn't have gotten it at all. So all I did was give him that tap. He kind of leaped forward, got that canter motion, and then that's how we got the canter. But over time, that'll get better as Teddy understands, his back end gets stronger, and then she'll be able to get the canter, you know, walking up the hill, or he'll get the idea. I've done this many a times. I always have horses that don't know stuff. Nobody who has great horses send their horses in for training. Why would they? They might come for lessons, but a lot of times they're not in the videos because their horses are great. So I get the ones who can't do stuff, the ones that don't gait well, the ones that don't canter well, or behavior problems. Okay? And then you see them for so long, and then they disappear because they go back home. You know, the owners can only afford so much training, and then, you know, they take the lessons hopefully and then continue it on their own. It's a journey, everybody. It takes a long time. But when you're the one who gets it, you get that horse to gait, you know, you got some help, but you're the one who finished it. You should be very proud of yourself, because this is difficult. Okay? They do so many different things. It's extremely difficult. And, you know, they'll change their gait in 9 steps, 9 different gaits. Yeah, and you're like, what? Yeah, they will. So it just depends on the footing. That's why you're trying to help them and guide them. But if you just let them do what they want, you just ride on loose rein, and when you go faster, the horse just does whatever, and you let them, they'll never get stronger at that gait that you want. They'll switch their gaits around, because how they're carrying their body with tension or relaxation affects their gait. And then the footing, as well as going uphill and downhill, affects their gait. So that's why they keep changing. So you got to learn how to first keep them in a walk, and then slowly add more speed and keep them in those gaits. Looks like that thing was really chasing that deer. All right, we're going to try it here. We might not get it. Half halt, shift my weight, canter. How nice was that? Good boy, Teddy. So that deserves a little treat for Teddy. Reward the try. Good boy. Now let's just stand here for a minute. See the beautiful view? Never rest your horses. They get a lot out of the rest. They're like, I might try that again. She gave me a rest for that. Now, I don't rest when they're amped up or antsy. I would keep going. I only rest when they're calm, because if you try to rest when they're amped up, well, it's not going to work out, so why even bother? You might stop for a second and then go off. That might work for you, but that's the start. Okay, Teddy. Good boy. So we're going to go around this muck, because that always does sink down some. Remember, when you're with the horse, you're trying not to scare them. Don't make them do the hardest thing they have to do. They're willing to carry you, but, you know, they don't want to get hurt in the process. So if you're always making bad decisions, making them go through scary stuff, they don't want to go with you anymore, and neither would I. You know, it's like riding with crazy people. You might do it once, and then you're like, not going with them again. And that's what your horse is telling you, like, not going with you again. You have no clue what you're doing. You almost killed us. You almost took us off that cliff, besides getting us lost for 6 hours. Yeah, that wasn't fun. So I'm going to try right here. I'm going to half halt, shift my weight to the right leg, canter. Now, the nice thing is, that's Teddy's bad lead, good boy, where he kept cross cantering. That's his left lead, because his right one was better. There's more cookies. And he just threw it on the ground, so some deer will get that. You got loose lips, buddy. So now I'm giving, when I'm asking him for the canter, I'm just giving him a little tap so he kind of jumps in it, and he's jumping right in it. He's doing really well. Okay? And now he can hold the lead behind. He couldn't before. So all that arena work helped him to understand the cues, the canter, helped him to get the canter motion. And now I'm able to canter some, but with the pacey horses, always make sure you're kind of going uphill. Like you've gone uphill at least like 10 feet, then ask for it. Don't ask on the bottom, because then they'll usually just charge up it. And many times they will cross canter. Ask once they're partially up the hill, because that hill takes them towards the trot and will help you to get that canter from that pacey horse. But it's always done better if you work them in the arena and the round pen first, working on the canter cue, making sure they can canter by themselves without you on their back. Because if they can't even do that, how can they do something harder? So many people just go, you just go to a hill and kick them. I go, yeah, that's great. I'm sure he's going to learn how to canter really relaxed and slow and comfortably, and be very well balanced when you get him to the hill and scare the heck out of him so he runs. So you don't want to do that. You'd rather teach it slowly and smoothly so the horse becomes very relaxed and not worried about a canter. That's why a lot of horses will gallop really fast when you ask them to canter, because that's what somebody did. Somebody scared them and nobody took the time to show them how to do it correctly, and then they're in a state of fear most of the time. That's not comfortable. Okay, so take your time, go back to the arena, go back to your round pen, and teach them what to do. Those are bee boxes. Okay, so we're just going to go up here, loop around the bushes, and go back. But this is 100% better than Teddy was even just a week ago from when he came back on the alfalfa. This is much more relaxed. But now he's been back on my grass hay, and we've been working him, you know, probably more, and we did go camping, so he's tired from that as well. He got some time off, but still, all that adds up. Good boy. So now when you take the turn for home, if they speed up, slide the bit. Alternate your hands left, right, right. If they're still speeding up, which he is a little bit, just start serpentining. That's why you want to practice these maneuvers in the arena, so you get them down really well. And then breathe. Take your legs off, because people grip because they want to hold on, you know, and breathe. And if you have rope reins are nice, but a lot of times they slide through your hands, so wear gloves. And try to put a little duct tape marker on there so you know where you normally like to have your hand, so you can see quickly how much you need to shorten it up. But just keep serpentine until they slow down, and then you can leg yoke. He gets a little fast going home, so I'm always tying him up, but that only works if everybody ties them up. So I always go home, go back to work, and he hasn't been back here long, just a week, and then I work them. So once they do that all the time, they understand. But if sometimes they're tied up in the beginning, but it's not all the time, they don't know when it's going to happen or not. So they're like, I'll just go home fast, see what happens, because I get there faster, I feel safer. But if it's every single time, they start going home real slow if you've done it well. And you do not have to do it the rest of their life. You just have to do it till it's really ingrained in them. You know, same thing like me having my rein short enough, I get his head down. It's just till it's ingrained in him, and then I won't have to hold so much. I'll be able to go on a much looser rein. But you can't do that stuff in the beginning. They got to learn, and you got to help them make the right decision. Don't help them make the wrong decision. So something's occupying his mind. Those ears tell you a lot where their attention is, but he's being okay. He's just looking, and he's being alert. You see how slowly he can go down the hill? So if you got a walking horse, and this guy has big stride, they can go slow, but you got to teach them. And you can even teach it on the ground, just hand walking them. Walk, stop, walk, stop. Get them going slow down the hills. Don't run down those hills. A lot of times you have an anxious horse, or it's overly fast and it won't be calm and go slower with others. The hardest part is doing the right thing. And I tell people, well, you want them to walk on the trail? And they go, yeah, I'd like them to walk. And I go, well, then you got to walk. And they go, what? I don't want to walk with my friends, I want to run. And I go, well, then you're never going to walk. It's that simple. You got to teach the horse, you got to go back and teach it can walk. So you might have to walk for a year. You can gait in the arena, gait around the barn or somewhere else, but mostly walk out on the trail, because so many of them have just run on the trail. They think that's what they're supposed to do, and the faster they do it, the faster they get back, and the faster they get back with their friends. So start relax and walk, get off and graze them, spend some time out here. So they're happy to be out away from the barn, because they get their grass out here, or they get a special cookie, or you give them a bag of grain and you sit down and have some lunch, and you know, they're just hanging with you. Spend time with them. Horses are very personable, but only if you bring out their personality and they know it's okay. So we're still heading home. He's moving out with some energy. I am not cantering at all towards home, because this trail isn't that long, and part of his problem is he goes home a little bit fast. So I don't want to do anything to speed him up and make him want to go home faster. So I'm just trying to keep him at a nice flat walk or running walk at the fastest. And then again, I'm going to work him when I get there. So he's doing well. We're sliding down the hills a little bit, but he's keeping himself together. He's not freaking out. It's not bothering him, which is good. And but I want to keep him slow, so I keep half halting or leg yielding or serpentining. Sometimes you just got to ride it out. They're dragging you home, and you got two choices because they're not slowing down no matter what you do. You can get off, and that's usually what I recommend, but you have to have good ground manners so you can keep them out of your space, and carry a stick so you can keep them back so they don't trample you. Or you just go home faster. You don't gallop home, but you just go home faster, and then when you get there, you just make it not a fun place to be. Lots of work, and then tie them up away from their friends, and you got to repeat it over and over until they're positive that's going to happen every single time. So some horses will be like, you do it 3 times, and they're like, got it, won't run home fast anymore. And other horses have been doing it their whole life, and they're like, I'm going to do it 1,000 more times. Are you going to stick with me and really make me do it, or are you just going to let me run home? And you got to be like, 1,000 times it is. We're going to do it 1,000 times, and we're going to keep doing it till you're well behaved and doing the right things. Okay? Teaching horses is not easy. It can be fun, but it's not always. It's the same with children. Like, you got to do what you got to do to help them to learn. Okay? You're not trying to be mean, but you got to show them what the rules are. So like even through here, he's a little faster. So half halt, relax. Half halt, relax. No leg at all. Half halt, relax. I'm not holding on with my thighs. Half halt, relax. And you just keep breathing. You know I'm breathing because I'm talking. But a lot of you grip with your legs, and then you hold the horse and you don't let them go at all. And that just makes them want to get away from you and home faster. So be very conscious of how you're riding. All right, I'll put you back on if anything else comes up, but this is probably long enough for the video today. I'm going to tell you what I did when Teddy was bad. So we're coming down the hill. He's doing quite good. Last time when he was bad, he was pretty much running down this hill. Okay, so I just half-halt serpentined. When I got back home, and I didn't crank on him, because the sooner I got home, I was like, the sooner I can put your feet to work. When I got back home, you can see our barn over there in the arena. I racked around that red barn, and I did it probably 20 times each direction. Then I racked around the entire facility, and I did that for a while until he was exhausted. Then I went in the arena and I worked some more till I was satisfied that Teddy was pretty damn tired and didn't want to do anymore, and he was breathing hard and he was very sweaty that day. Then I left his saddle on and I tied him up for an hour. Then I rode other horses, rode by him, and let him sit there. See Teddy now? He's like, don't run home, bad stuff happens. So just that one time is much better. Again, I don't know if the owner's doing that when she takes him home for these little breaks while I've been at clinics and stuff. So again, if I do it, it will help while he's here, but it won't stick. Everybody has to do it. So if you have people leasing your horse and you have a barn sour horse, everybody has to be on the same agenda. There's a horse right there, Teddy, in case you can't see him. So everybody's got to be on the same agenda. Now he came back pretty slow, but just in case, guess what I'm going to do? Because I want to be positive. Teddy knows the rules. I'm going to gait around the barn. Might rack. I might just do flat walk or running walk. We'll see. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm still going to tie him up, even though he was good, because I got to make sure that's stuck in his head, and hopefully the owner will keep it up. Okay? Then you don't have a horse that's rushing home anymore. But if you just tie him up once, or you tie him up with food, or you tie him up by his friends where it's pleasant, guess what? They don't make the connection, because they're like, what's wrong with this? I'm pretty happy standing here by my friends. I'll just take a nap while they watch over me. But you take them somewhere their friends aren't by them, and they're like, this is kind of scary over here. How did I end up here? What do I have to do not to be tied up over here? Oh, I just got to walk back slow. But they got to make that connection, and they do. I can tell you, a lot of horses are a lot smarter than people. They figure stuff out, and the people don't figure out anything. All right, so that's what we're going to do. So we're going to start walking out. He's watching Minnie go by, so I really had to be a little bit tougher with my hands to get his attention back. You got to do what you got to do. But see, now his head's down below. He's got a nice gait right here. At the moment, this is his running walk because I just pushed him and he couldn't go any faster without changing his gait. But we have mud in our feet and all sorts of stuff, so he's doing good. I don't want it down that far, but I want it down far enough. And then it gets him used to, horses going by as well. So ride around your barn, ride with the other people, ride with the reiners and the barrel racers, or tie your horse up in there and let them get used to horses just running around past them, so if it ever happens on trail, your horse won't have as big a meltdown. Okay? And this way they realize they're not done once they get back to the barn. There's just more work. So who wants to go back to the barn? Nobody. Nobody who's in training with Gaye. All right, so that's what we're going to do. All right, I hope that helps. Remember to like and subscribe. And don't feel bad for Teddy. Teddy's going to be doing great. He's going to have good manners, know how to deal with people, and be a good horse. And he's already there. He's already a good horse. We want him to be a great horse. All right, like and subscribe. Go Pro.